Welcome to the Microflush toilet training to create new valves. This is episode. Look at the finished valve that is on the ground. That valve is our goal. The water in the bucket of the user interface will be held by the valve. The valve can be considered the bottom of the bucket that opens to dump the waste and then closes back up again with the counterweight after the handle opens and dumps the waste out of the bucket. The sheet of plastic for the valve is 11 inches by 14 inches or 28 by 35.5 centimeters. In this training session, we cut a waste or sewer pipe that is 6 inches or 15 centimeters in diameter into a 14-inch or 35.5 centimeter long piece of pipe. It is then cut in half. And now we are melting that pipe and softening the pipe over a charcoal fire. And we have water nearby in a bucket that will help cool the pipe. And as you heat the pipe, we need to heat all sides of the pipe to soften every corner of this pipe. And if you notice that it's no longer in a circular shape, but it's becoming a flat piece of plastic. We could also use the flat plastic if that was available at the market, but in this location, only the waste sewer pipe was available. And so now we are smoothing out the plastic to make it flat. And as we flatten this piece of plastic, we're putting water on it to harden it into the flat shape. And that flat shape will become our blank that will be used to create the valve. So now we heat it one more time, and it's good to have a pair of pliers so you're not burning your hands when you're melting the plastic. So at this point, concrete molds we made are nearby, and it's a matter now of getting those molds ready and reheating that plastic. And so we go through the process again with a flat piece of plastic and heating that blank piece of plastic that's flat now and getting it ready for the mold. He's turning it over and melting the plastic on the other side so it's very pliable when we're ready to put it into the concrete form. And if you notice now, the plastic is softening, and it's just a matter of making sure that every inch of the plastic form is soft and ready to go into the concrete pattern. And so it's important to make sure that the piece closest to his pliers is also soft. And now it goes in, and you press down to get the plastic around that curve. And there's a little bit of water going on now to get that shape of that curve straight. And once the curve is good, then we can soften the form a little longer to get the whole shape that we need. It's actually quite amazing that in this method we can take a piece of plastic and melt it into the shape that we want, but it's going to follow the shape that's in the cement. So that's our whole goal. And putting water on the plastic will also help keep that end soft and not as hot. So we don't really want the shape where the curve has been formed to change. So now we've got the curve in the plastic, and now we put both of the concrete molds around that plastic form. And water will be poured onto the concrete form through the hole so that concrete form will secure the plastic shape into the valve design that we want to use. The water is just helping to make sure that the plastic cools and stays in the shape that we want it. And if you notice now, we have a valve that has the circular design in the middle, which will be used to connect the bucket, and it also has the curve where the pipe will be attached. And so what happens next is we use a hacksaw and saw about every inch on the long end where the pipe will be, and that will be melted so that we can have flaps that will go into the pipe that will be used for the counterweight. And so that's what we're doing now, is taking and softening what will be the flaps that will secure onto the cement better than if we had no flaps at all. And then the water is used for those flaps to fit into place. And now we've cut another piece of pipe, and it's been cut in half. And so those flaps is going to be put onto, we cut the pipe in half, and now fit that pipe over the valve. And so now with the valve, we are going to pour cement into that valve, and that becomes the counterweight. So the counterweight will help the valve go back into the home position after the handle flushes the toilet, so that those wedges that we cut are now going to help secure the cement in that hole. And we've tried a lot of different things, but this is a very easy way of building the counterweight, and that pipe becomes the mold for the cement that will be used for the counterweight. Once we fill that hole with cement, we need to let the cement dry and be ready for the next phase. Now, if we had a drill bit and a drill, we would drill holes, but we don't. And so we're heating up a piece of iron rod or rebar in the charcoal stove, and we want to drill holes in this mold for the pipe that will be used to connect to the handle. So as they are fixing that, the iron rod is now drilling a hole through the valve plastic and the pipe underneath it. And so that's how we're getting our hole, is through heat of the iron rod. And the iron rod is reheated to make the next hole. And at that point, we will have holes through the new pipe and the valve, which can be bolted together so that we have the finished valve that we want to make. And one of the goals is to keep the charcoal hot so that it can be used to drill new holes with that iron rod. So it's just the ingenuity of using the tools and material that you have on hand to make this valve. And this valve will be put into the user interface for the flush. We are making the handle connection with the valve that we need. And now we're taking the bolt and putting the bolt through the valve plastic and the plastic pipe that is connected to it. And now the nut goes on the back side, and the next bolt will be put in the second hole, so that we have two holes with two bolts and a nut attaching each on to the pipe. And as we tighten those nuts down, we are getting to the point where we have the finished valve ready to be put into the user interface, which we will get to in a different training session. But this is our goal, is to have that valve with the shape of the bucket that you can see now, and everything is set. So thank you so much for watching this episode to learn how to make the Microflush toilet valve that is going to be so special for the Microflush toilet. We can also use other technology, but this is all material that's available in your country to make the Microflush toilet valve.